Hey, welcome to Heroes Hype Amateur Series Cup number 102. Joining me tonight is InanimateJ. I'm Murda. Welcome, everyone.
It's really exciting to be here, bro. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I haven't done a ton of HeroesHype Amateur Series, but in the absence of HGC Open, there's a bit of a dearth of Heroes events to cast around here, and it's fun to get into the Amateur Series because you're in for a great time. Teams with nothing really but pride to play for. Oftentimes they come out with a great pocket strategy or two, and you get a couple of fun games of Heroes to commentate on, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, a lot of teams we've seen. A few have played in the Open. Team name changes here tonight. Moto Gaming we've seen in the past. A new squad coming out, being led by Winterheart. Azariel's on the squad as well. Inting for Globe should be a lot of fun. We'll try to keep an eye on them. Valmar's on that squad. Showtime and Tenny's there as well. Should be a great opportunity to see some players coming together and trying to form up something new, see what's going to happen for them heading into the next Open split next season.
Yeah, it's also really fun to see just players having a bit of fun and not having the pressure of trying to qualify for the Crucible out of Open Division. I know a lot of these guys put their heart and soul into the last HGC Open split, and a few of them falling short in the playoffs. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the next split really develops at the start of 2019 and how the meta shifts. And no better way to start about talking about that than the upcoming patch tomorrow with the Kerrigan rework and the Brightwing, the Brightwing rework on top of that. I'm excited for that. I'm hearing a lot of talk that Kerrigan is probably going to be a first pick, first ban kind of situation again.
Yeah,
Which I don't think anybody's looking forward to except Kerrigan mains, the people who stuck with the Queen of Blaze for the longest time. And I'm personally excited to bring back Fightwing and Bribewing builds, to be honest. Brightwing was one of my favorite supports for a long time, simply because I don't have to try and skill shot heals. I just sit in a fight and be like, okay, I can just click other people, because I'm an assassin at heart, really. So Brightwing kind of fits my perfect support meta where I don't have to click my teammates.
Oh, there's two names I got for Brightwing. It's Battlewing and my personal favorite Baywing, because I play her all day. She's my number one Bay. I'm really excited for her, and we got to talk about Kerrigan. Like you mentioned, gonna be first pick, first ban worthy. Definitely very scary. You got an immense amount of buffing to her shielding. Every single tick of damage from her E now is going to be doing extra shields. It's actually insane. Some are saying she could be a tank, a la Zool sort of thing. Could be a lot of fun, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kerrigan stays like this all the way up until BlizzCon. That could be potentially pretty scary for some of those teams playing at the HGC finals.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in Blizzard's typical MO to leave her without at least one balance patch before BlizzCon. I don't see any way that she'll be completely untouched, especially with a new ranked season starting soon. A lot of players going to be getting placements done, probably getting a lot of Hero League and Team League data for Blizzard to work off of to decide how the win rate is fitting in with the talent pick rate and everything like that. I mean, speaking though of Team League, how about the change to the queuing now? Solo queuing for Team League or Hero League, and you can bring the 4-man stacks to Team League. I think I'm personally a little worried about how the matchmaking timing is going to work out, because I know in the past when they went to the 2 and 3 only, or 2, 3, and 5, all the times I ever queued as a 2, it's like a 20-minute wait sometimes, depending on where you are. Never that bad, but just sometimes it took forever to find a team. And I'm really concerned about how the 4-1 is going to work.
So I'm actually really excited for this. I think it might actually take away a bit from unranked draft. I know personally for myself, speaking only for myself here, is sometimes when I'm queuing up with just some random friends, I'll hop into the unranked draft just to hop in, make sure we can get a game quickly. But now that it sounds like more people might want to go into Team League, maybe it makes more sense to bring those parties of mine into Team League and just throw our hat in that ring, because the queue times might actually be healthier than unranked draft. We'll see. Some players who have been playing Hero League, they might decide they want to go over to Team League. So it could bring players in. Of course, you do have that XP bonus playing in Team League. You get, I think is it 1.5 times experience or 2x experience, whatever it is. There is a slight bonus to XP just playing in that queue, and that could be enough just to get people to go over there when they realize the queue times are not as bad.
It's actually plus 50% bonus. Just
okay, so
scroll down.
1.5. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 1.5, and then depending on your party size as well, there's the party bonus plus the playing with a friend on your friends list bonus kind of deal. So lots of options there to deal with getting the extra XP getting into Team League. And I think you're right. I think unranked might take a bit of a hit, but it really depends on the quality of matchmaking you see out of that Team League queue. If it starts to go downhill, you're starting to get a lot of worse matchups because of the way they're having to finagle the MMR algorithm. You might just see a lot of people going right back to unranked, and Team League still struggling a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's always going to be a struggle as long as you can have those GMs queuing up with bronze, and there's plenty of
Oof,
people out
yeah.
there who are trying to do like the smurfing and kind of boosting. If they find a way to crack down on that or limit it a bit so it's not as egregious, I think would definitely benefit the experience most people have going into Team League. But overall, I think it's a good change. I think it's a step in the right direction. Time will, of course, be the ultimate decider in if this is going to work or not, and we'll see how many people end up going in there.
Yeah, it's. I think it's an experiment for sure when it comes to how Blizzard are approaching the matchmaking for it, and I think they wouldn't have approached this change if they didn't really need to. And I think we'll see how it goes for this season. If Blizzard made a mistake, they'll probably be the first ones to tell us that. Either way, though, I think we've got our first match in the ready queue here. The Regen Black. I know those guys are your boys. Up against Uark Esports.
I'm actually pretty stoked. I should have brought my Regen shirt. How about this? I'll throw up my Regen mug. So full disclosure, that is my squad for all you guys watching. Pretty hyped for them. They've played in open div. I think they really started picking it up towards the end of the season. A little early for them being a newer team and really trying to get their grasp. They played against so many solid squads out there, like the Scythe Esports and stuff like. There's so many good teams out there in open, and next season is the dream for these guys.
Yeah, open division is always really a gauntlet, especially with having to play so many cups to guarantee your playoff spot, especially when you're not placing in the top 2, top 4 on a week to week basis. If you can grind out those, 5 to 8 place finishes and still be set up pretty well to make a run for the playoffs, if you can get yourself into one of those top 4 situations down the split, and to see teams putting in the work and being able to see the rewards of that over a long enough time frame, I think is a really rewarding thing as a fan and as a player, because it just proves that if you put your mind to it, you can really get something out of a career in esports.
Yeah. And let's talk a bit about esports. We didn't touch on the HGC and what's going on over there. We have, of course, the Crucible, which has been hyped up so much through the Open Division cast over here on HeroesHype. But let's talk a bit about the playoffs leading into the HGC finals. So we have for North America ranks 2 through 6 battling it out for that final slot for North American esports dream to happen at BlizzCon. It's Tempo Storm at 2, Octalis is at 3, Freedom at 4, Endemic at 5. We have LFM at 6. Sneaking past Simplicity there in the final weekend. What are your thoughts heading into this North American playoffs?
Well, I know a lot of people who've been watching Open Division for a long time will probably be on the LFM train, because that's a squad that came out of Open Division through the Crucible into HGC and now potentially on the road to BlizzCon as the number 2 seed. But that's a tough road to get through. Endemic's a good squad up first, and to get through them, then you have to run into Freedom, who looked pretty good through the second half of the split this time around. You get through Freedom, then there's Octalysis, and they're pretty much insane meta-defining draft strategies we've been seeing week on week on week. Like you touched on Zool main tank kind of thing. That's something that Octalysis has been doing for a couple of weeks now, and it's kind of had this ripple effect over the rest of the meta, where you see other teams trying to bring out these strategies, kind of avoiding the traditional double warrior frontline single support meta, where you're getting into some of these other heroes that have fallen out of the main pick meta, but they don't have an existing counter with most draft strategies because nobody's practicing them. So all of a sudden you're getting, heroes like Zool that have a decent amount of survivability, a very good amount of lane pressure, and current compositions just simply don't have the equivalent wave clear to be able to deal with it.
And then, of course, at the very top, Tempo Storm, a team that is some people like to say they're the best in NA, but they lost Psalm, and they've had to really rebound, bringing on Vin through phase 2. What have been your thoughts on how they've tried to reestablish? We saw them drop some tough sets, but they don't look terrible. Like, it looks like they have a real shot at if it's going to be Octalysis up against them or whoever it is, they have a shot at making it to BlizzCon. What's your take on Tempo Storm right now?
I think the biggest thing to take away from Psalm for Vin is really just stability. Is having to bring in a new player at the second half of a split, having to kind of rework your whole draft strategy around that, because Vin and Psalm aren't exactly the same player, and you've seen a lot of that over the course of this split, where you'd have the opportunity for old Tempo Storm to really be flexing themselves as the top team in NA, having that little bit of instability, whereas Heroes Hearth has more of that continuity. That's why you see that shift with the 1 and 2. I don't think the Tempo is much worse off having Vin. I just think that they've had to take a step back and reassess where they are in terms of a team themselves, and they haven't really, I think, fully realized that identity as a team. I think they've still struggled at times with trying to make their calls work, and we've seen that a number of times where they've just gone into something and it hasn't worked out, and they've given up maps because of it. And that's kind of the tipping point for that. If they can work that out, if they qualify for BlizzCon and figure out how to make that work again in a live environment and find more success at BlizzCon, they don't necessarily have to win, but just have continued success in the bracket in an international competition. I think we'll see a lot more for them in 2019.
My worry right now, September 7th, playing up against Octalysis, Tempo losing 3-0. You also look a little bit further back, August 31st, up against Team Freedom, Tempo Storm loses 3-1. These are the teams they're going to have to face in these playoffs. And like we talked a bit about Octalysis bringing their own meta to the fight. For me, I'm a little worried for Tempo Storm. Of course, I'd love to see them make it through, but I think there's a lot of solid competition behind them, and this might be one of the first times we're seeing some of these NA All-Stars not make it through to BlizzCon, and I think there's going to be a lot of upset fans out there if that's the case.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you have a fan favorite kind of team that is just struggling to fire on all cylinders, it's like the show car that's got that one problem spark plug that you just can't quite get to work. Sometimes you're going to have to leave it in the shop rather than take it to the car show, and that might be the case with Tempo Storm. Is it going to be a bad thing overall? I don't think so, because if you get a team like Octalysis over the line that might be able to redefine the meta on a wider scale, it might bring almost a new era of Heroes of the Storm. On the same vein,
that could be really exciting too. Like having
exactly
some teams make it up to BlizzCon and have a new team to talk about in terms of being a big team name out of North America. It could be something to look for. Like we've seen with HeroesHype Esports. This is their first BlizzCon, at least for Crowan. This is Crowan's first time ever going to a BlizzCon. And you read his Twitter, he's super pumped to go, but it's, they come up through Open Division. They make a huge splash in HGC, and now they find themselves on top of North America, at least for the time being. That's really exciting to see a shift happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what you want to see over the course of, a year or 2 years in an esport. You want to see those stories. You want to see the development and the progress of players like that, and to see it for guys that have been putting in the work and really getting down to business is such a cool thing to see, especially for take Crowan, like you said, first time ever going to BlizzCon as not even as an attendee, but as an actual competitor in one of the flagship events at that event. It's got to be a life-changing kind of experience.
I know I'll be there. I'm going to try to get a front row seat to all the action. BlizzCon 2018 is going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk a bit about the European side in between matches as we are finding ourselves heading into a lobby here, waiting for teams to show up, of course. Let's talk a bit about these teams we have tonight. So it's going to be Regen Black, my squad, up against Uark Gaming. I don't know too much about Uark. Let me see if I can go in and check out this roster and see if I recognize any of these names. Maybe have a couple talking points here. So it's going to be Dead Latin, Jax Taxman, Pokemaster J. We can pair him up with InanimateJ. We got Neemon and Blue Space Hat for Uark Esports.
Yeah, seeing Jack's Taxman in the Twitch chat as well, saying watch 5 college students get bodied live on stream is I like that style actually. I like the confidence coming into that one. I can appreciate a little bit of gallows humor when it comes to that. But not knowing a ton about these guys, I'm sure obviously, you guys know Regen, Regen Black, so I'm sure you know a lot more about them than I do. And it's I think the draft is going to tell us a lot about how these two teams want to play. It is a best of one. We are going to be playing on Volskaya Foundry. The map bans for it. Uark taking Dragonshire off the pool. Brax's holdout the ban from Regen. So we'll find ourselves here on Volskaya, which I think is one of the cooler maps that we've seen over the course of Heroes coming in, with the Overwatch style point control leading to an objective actually coming in. And since the rework of the Protector's damage values, and on top of that, with the experience shift that happened a couple patches ago, with how the towers and the forts award XP, a really interesting style where teams try to open the lanes up more so than they try to get full value, like going in for a full fort, because of the way the objectives rotate around the map and setting yourself up for future phases of play.
Absolutely. And I think it definitely favors first objective. Whoever can win that usually makes it to level 7 first, usually makes it to level 10 first. And at that point can really set the pace in terms of item control, especially that biotic emitter off we'll call him the boss at the top side of the map. Whoever controls that biotic emitter has such a huge advantage in these team fights. Usually they can split on the turrets, and really the only neutral point worth fighting over is that biotic emitter. So we'll see who can win that fight first. As ladies and gentlemen, we are headed into our first draft of the night, Volskaya Foundry.
Will be really interesting to see how on meta this draft goes, and you can usually tell that from the ban phase. 2 bans for each team to start things off. If you're new to Heroes of the Storm, each team getting to pick 2 heroes to take off, as they'll go 1 apiece before the teams get their first hero pick of the draft. And it really tells you a lot about early strategies. Usually you'll take meta heroes out of the pool, or try and set yourself up, if you have first pick, to be able to pick one of those remaining on meta heroes and then build your composition around them. Otherwise, if you're looking for a pocket strategy, might be trying to take away some of the counters to one of your heroes right away, as Maiev will be taken off. No big surprise there. A lot of good crowd control, very good engage from Maiev. A lot of players, a lot of teams don't like playing against her.
Yeah, especially on a map like this, you're fighting over those points. Maiev jumping in, getting resets on Fan of Knives, so scary. Speaking of scary, the Lord of Terror himself, Diablo, has been banned out by Uark Gaming.
A lot of really good choke points for Diablo to fight in. Very tanky nowadays with how his health scales with his trait, the Black Soul Stone. Once he gets to about 100, is a very formidable warrior on his own, and just really big pain to play against. And no big surprise to see him off the board with all of the places that he can be a real nuisance. As Mephisto will be banned, the newest hero to join the Nexus. I'm on the fence about how surprised I am about that. I've seen Mephisto players in my queues. Now, granted, I'm only a high gold, low plat player, and I've seen really good Mephistos, and I've seen Mephistos that forget that I can figure out where they teleported from.
Speaking of teleporting, how about portals? Medivh, the final ban in this top half. Not sure I've seen Regen play in Medivh yet, but nonetheless, the Diablo and the Medivh banned out, and that's actually a pretty scary combo if both of them were picked up. But they're going to be bans instead, as Regen Black find themselves on the clock with first pick. They're going with the Yrel for Buns.
I like the Yrel pick early. Yrel's been a very powerful hero through the course of her existence in the Nexus, which has been quite short. Is only, I think, the third patch rotation or so that she's been. I'm bad. I forget things really easily. Blame it on being old. But a very powerful, very self-sustaining off tank, and very good at crowd controlling. And then, speaking of crowd control, Blaze and Deckard Cain on the side of Uark. Deckard Cain, one of the best supports right now, I feel, for crowd control with the Herodric Cube and the Scroll of Sealing, and the ability to preset on objectives with healing potions, letting your team kind of understand their escape routes, where they can find their healing. Really good there.
Leaving open a Tyrande, and there it is. Tyrande getting picked up, pairing it with an InanimateJ. Okay, so let's talk a bit about Tyrande. Recently reworked, gets the extra Q, so a stack there. The cooldown reduction from all damaging abilities. Very, very different feel for Tyrande. What are your thoughts?
I like the solo Tyrande meta to a point, and we've seen it in HGC where the counter to that seems to be heroes that have a really good job stressing her healing abilities. Similar to how when you've got an Uther as the main healer, heroes like Gul'dan, like Malthael, that can spread damage out over a wide range of heroes and really tax a target-based healing support to their limits. Is one of those things. I feel that Tyrande, even with the extra Q stack, just still struggles to spread her healing around over her entire composition, and really does need to have the support of other self-sustaining heroes. Urel's a good fit for that one, and I just don't feel that the Anub'arak kind of fits that. It's with Urel, it's two divey kind of warriors, that one of which has great self-sustain, the other one not so much, has the ability really, if he dives in with the burrow charge, to get picked off with a heavy crowd control composition that can deal with dive heroes.
Yeah, looks like crowd control so far on both sides. The Nubin, the Tyrande, Blaze, Deckard. Now we're seeing Johanna and Jaina, so even more crowd control coming out from Uark. What's left on the board at this point, Jay?
Really not a lot. I maybe a Thrall actually for spice factor. Just to give you a little bit more offlane presence, a little bit more oomph in the team fights. You can go Earthquake. Great talent for fights on.
I smell a Hanzo here. Oh, it's gonna be Phoenix. Okay, I was thinking some sort of range. I know that Penguin plays a little bit of Hanzo, but I'm gonna go with Phoenix instead. Li Ming. I'm interested. I think this might be Ghosty playing Li Ming for the first time for Regen Black. There was a recent role swap, so I'm kind of excited if that's the case.
No big surprise there with the two warriors and the support taking. It's the Sergeant Hammer meta.
Baby.
Now, I'm a little interested by this, and I actually think that this might be a bit of a misstep for Uark, given the fact that we're on live. This is including the balance patch, which has removed the unstoppable. When you come out of siege mode, you can still get unstoppable on level 4 with the talent, but it removes the second you come out of siege mode. So no longer do you have the ability to smash the 1 button while you're in siege mode, or smash the E button, excuse me, while you're in siege mode, and smash Z and get the heck out of dodge. You just don't have that anymore. You have to sit there stationary, make sure you escape that the stun skill shots of your opposition, and then be able to get away. And I think this might just be a little bit too much to handle for the Sergeant Hammer. It's a good composition around Hammer, mind you. Johanna, Blaze, Jaina, Deckard, all very solid to build around a Hammer. I just feel that that dive composition with the burst damage capabilities of a Phoenix and a Li Ming behind it might get the Hammer before it's enough time to get away.
Yeah, and of course, if Hammer does fall, setting up those resets for a Li Ming can be very scary, but this is a pretty sturdy composition on the side of Uark. Johanna, Blaze, such high health pools, and they're able to get out of a lot of terrible situations. And Deckard Cain, the potions of shielding, which have recently been slightly nerfed, a little less shielding since that balance patch this past week. And we'll see how Deckard Cain comes out after all the dust settles with that patch. And here we are. It is game number 1 of 1 here in round number 1. On the left-hand side, we got Regen Black. Camille going to be playing tank today on Anub'arak. Gaspy on the Tyrande. Penguin for the win, playing the Li Ming. Ghosty on Phoenix, and rounding it out, that solo lane hero, the GOAT. It's Buns on Urel.
And on the right side, Uark Gaming. Dead Latin playing Deckard Cain. Jax Taxman on Blaze. Blue Space Hat on Johanna. Nemon on Jaina. And playing the Sergeant Hammer is Pokemaster J.
All right, so let's see what we got here. Nothing too crazy. Sapphire from Deckard Cain looks good. It's going to be ambush from Sergeant Hammer. So I'm assuming they're going to try to want to lock down some people quick, use Sergeant Hammer to get those extra damage stacks from the ambush for just a couple seconds and try to burst someone down. But I don't know. It's going to be really tough for them to be able to pull that off here, Jay.
I think the difficulty right now for both compositions is just going to be finding a way to either protect or get through the Sergeant Hammer. That Sergeant Hammer creates such a big umbrella to fight under, and actually you can see Penguin for the win looking for those angles with the orbs and the arcane missiles, getting a ton of damage in to PokeMaster J already. Actually, look at the brazen dive through the side there on the rotation. Camille dropping down the Impale on the rotation, trying to slow down Uark Gaming as they go up to get the top lane rotation there. Good aggressive play early on from Regen Black.
Yeah, absolutely. Regen, look at this. The stun combination. You hands off your keyboard. You can't move Sergeant Hammer. That was an excellent combination of stuns from Anubrak and Tyrande there. The damage from Li Ming. First blood of the game. But I want to note, just like you're mentioning, Regen Black doing such a good job right now of living on the enemy side of the field, interrupting those rotation lanes, making sure that they are dominating this early laning phase in terms of who is where on the map.
Well, it's especially important to do that against a hero like Johanna, who has the ability to get into a lane, pull everything together, damage it, and then with a Jaina on top of that, lots of ways to get rid of that. Speaking of Jaina, though, another huge invade coming out from the members of Regen Black as PokeMaster J gets away with just a sliver of life, but they go right in on the turret camp 4 strong and take out both the Mercs and a member of Uark Gaming. And this is pretty much Regen Black telling everybody here that they are not messing around.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Jaina was over there soloing that camp and found herself so low on health. Really nothing they could do. It was only Sergeant Hammer showing up. Wasn't even the Decker came with some potions. And second kill of the game, Regen Black. They are up 2 levels right now, but once level 4s click in here. Oh, but Jaina, whoa, another kill for Regen Black.
That one was really just a rotational error on the side of Neemon. Thought he might have been safe going into the pathway between middle and top, but with the biotic emitter already grabbed on the side of Regen Black, all of their members just right there, the Impale going in and immediate follow-up damage and crowd control. 3 kills to 0 right now, and it's hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel right now for Uark Gaming. They're down 2 levels. Control point about to come out, and you talk about the race to 7 to trigger the race to 10 on this map, and Uark Gaming right now losing that very, very quickly.
Yep, and of course the biotic emitter still in control of Regen Black. They also stole away a turret on the side of Uark, so they have 3 items here heading into control point alpha. Yrel was the only one standing there and didn't even lose any health practically. So here's Regen Black in position. Still no level 7s yet as Blaze gonna jet propulsion forward, stunning 2. That was Yrel and Tyrande, but the turnaround. Regen Black pushing them right back out of here. Camille's below 50% health right now, so has to play a little bit careful as Blaze is gonna come back in.
And right as they do so, Johanna going down in the middle of that. The crowd control out of Regen Black's composition, just working a little bit more than that of Uark Gaming. Neemon won't get away as Camille goes in with the burrow charge and then says, I don't care about your towers, I don't care where you are, I'm going to chase Blaze down and get a 3 for nothing as Regen Black cleaning up the pieces, and that should be the first protector of the game in their control.
Level 7s are here. Turret had spawned, but they ended up getting the Triglav first instead, and here they go. They're going to be pushing through this mid lane for the time being. We'll see if they want to rotate it up top, but they got through one of the towers, 2 of the towers, and the wall, and there you go. Looks like Camille's going to start piloting that Triglav protector. Oh, wait, he's going to turn it back around. Stay here at mid, Jay.
Well, when you're on a roll, why not just run it down mid, as some of the top teams will tell you. And that's exactly what they're going to do here. They're going to commit to this fort, take a fair amount of damage against that Sergeant Hammer in fighting over this one here. But they get the full value of the fort. They actually get a ton of damage on the PokeMaster J as he eats both the fists and the turret on the top of that Triglav protector. They'll rotate up here to top with 17 seconds left. Should be able to get the wall, maybe get enough damage onto the well to clear it up for the next phase. And this is what we were talking about just before the draft came in. Setting up the map for the future phases of play. Taking that well out, so important towards the next phase of play with that next control point in the top, being able to prevent your opposition from going back, tapping the well, getting their health and mana back mid-fight, as they're actually just going to commit to this fort. Look for level 10 here, as there isn't a lot that Uark can do right now. Even on even talent tiers, they just do not have the damage.
Yeah, they dropped a turret as well, trying to soak up some of those fort shots that are coming out, and minions are joining, so they should be able to get the fort down. I don't know if they're going to be able to dive past, get kills, but here are level 10s, and they did pick up that cocoon. Do they want to use it right here on Johanna? No, they're going to use a stun. Is the follow-up there? It is! Damage coming out! It's the... Oh, the purification salvo does get it.
And you just see that one setting up the first stun into the second stun, and that's kind of the strength of the Anub Tyrande meta. It's similar to the Mirande meta, where you set up with a Muradin and you follow up with the Tyrande because you've got your opposition pinned right where you want them. Couple that with the targeted skill shots of the Li Ming, and then you've got the Phoenix coming in with the auto attack damage to really just kind of grind down those last bits of hit points to finally find that kill. And up 4 levels now, Regen Black. They're in cruise control at the moment, just opening up the top part of that map. They'll probably look to end with the next Protector.
Yeah, and you saw Urel there living on the other side of this fort in the bottom lane, just back killing minions as they were approaching, making sure that she can get full value when her minions make it here. Here comes the rest of the team grabbing a turret. They're going to rotate down, pick up this fort as well, and continue their march towards getting level 13 talents. And if you're Uark Gaming, you need to be desperately soaking whatever XP you can find. Still only level 8.5, as control point B should be announced here pretty soon, Jay.
Yeah, if you watch what Uark was up to in the top lane, they're trying to get the siege camp to try and relieve a little bit of the lane pressure in the top right now, maybe get it back to a neutral footing so that they can fight over control point B. But the difficulty is how long they spent doing that. They've given up, again, both turrets and the biotic emitter at the top now, as you see all the members of Regen Black collapsing in on this point, getting all of their equipment for the next fight. They'll have 2 turrets and 2 biotic emitters to fight over control point B. Not to mention heroics, it really doesn't feel like at the moment Uark will be able to get to level 10 as Camille goes in on Pokemaster J. The follow-up, the big orb! Penguin for the win, looks for the resets as well. Here comes the purification salvo, finds blue space hat, but won't be enough to get over the line. But that one kill with the control point on the way just sets Uark so far back to trying to get back into this game, still down 4 levels.
Yeah, a 2 talent tier lead right now for Regen Black, 8-0 in kills. Camille is truly an underking with that Anubarak. The deep dives in, setting up some of these kills. So far, so good for Regen Black. They're going to try to grab a siege camp here as control point B has spawned. Bottom lane, looks like Uark, they know they're not going to be able to get this Triglav. They're going to try to find value and just split it, potentially work down a wall here with the double minion wave stacking up, Jay.
Yeah, it's really looking like this might be the beginning of the end if you're Uark Gaming. Is Regen Black able to kind of just sit on this point with impunity? Actually, you see them, I think they're committing to the cheese factor here. They're sieging up all the way in the bottom lane. I think they might try to race this at this point down the talents here. They know they can't really win the protect. Actually, I take that back. They're all going to start going back here as just leaving Pokemaster J to clean up the last bit of that fort, try to defend. As Regen Black have done the exact same, except it's to their top keep. And now that it's opened up, that Triglav Protector is a potential win condition here, even though the scaling hasn't quite hit there with only 9 minutes on the clock.
9 minutes on the clock have expired, and here comes Regen Black with their second Triglav Protector of the game. They're posted up in this top lane, do not appear to be moving. 4 members still waiting out. There's that big engagement from Anubarak with that burrow, but not enough damage until this purification salvo. But Johanna walking away from a bunker will fall. First kill of the game, however, for Uark, as they are able to kill off that Anubarak, not before Decker Kane goes down. Still looking for more Zleaming, but that's all they're going to find for now.
You can see Deckard Cain opening up the Heraldric Tome, looking like he wanted to tell a story, and it was in that moment that everybody on Regen Black said, "I don't want to hear it, old man." Sent him from this Nexus for at least a few seconds, and that should be just enough time for Regen Black to siege up on the core. 25, 10%, and that'll be it. Regen Black moving on to the next round.
GG very quickly done. 10 minutes and 7 seconds Regen Black take it. Did lose one hero in the game, so not quite a shutout, but very dominant performance from these guys. Ghosty recently making the move from main tank over to assassin, Camille switching over to that tank role. And I mean, tonight I was pretty impressed with how it worked out for them.
Yeah, it didn't look like the role swap really affected them. It'll be interesting to see though if they still find this success through the tournament. It felt like, on the surface at least, they just had a better grasp of how to manage themselves on the map. Their macro game was very strong, and you could see that very early on with the way that they were able to come in on the rotations for Uark with pretty much brazen impunity and just say, you can rotate this way, but we're going to try and pick you every single time. And that's a sign of a confident team, but also B, a team that is also easy to predict on the opposition side, because you know where they're going to try and rotate. You know what your strengths are on the crowd control side. So all you have to do is find somebody rotating alone. And with the dive from Uark and then the follow-up stun from Turan, gives you lots of opportunities to look for that quick burst kill.